Think we're live,
Okay, nothing
man.
happened. We are. I was trying to get the. Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. Hey, I was going to do our little opening and clicked on the wrong thing. Thank you all for joining us. I'm going to do it anyway. Here we go. Aaron Whitlow.
I'm Brandon Spivey, and welcome to the Markout Movie Podcast.
I know in today's episode, we're going to do a movie that is
Depressing.
awesome movie. It's a very awesome movie, but it does have some depressing elements.
It
But it ends
does.
on a great note.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but
Oh
before
man.
we talk about that movie, we're gonna do our quick little recap of the movies that we watched during this time. Not just for the podcast, but just for the Christmas viewing. 'Cause I thought it'd be kind of cool just to, because Brandon, is always like, "Hey, I'm watching this, I'm watching that." I'm like, well, I'd be interested to kind of know what he kind of watched uh, during the Christmas. So we're gonna do a quick what we watched, but what we watched and liked and didn't like as far as what we did for Christmas. Uh, I guess we'll start with the negative and then we end on the positive. This isn't
Mm.
it for me in any certain order as far as uh, as far as what now the thing I like the most is in the first thing is in the best thing that I really like. You know what I mean? But I'm just gonna start naming things. I guess from the least to the most. So okay, all right. I'm gonna switch these around here. I'm gonna say
You do what
for
you
this,
need.
yeah. All right, I'll say
Oh man.
number five for me would be a Christmas fumble or Christmas fumble. I forgot
I
what it's
almost
called
put that on my list. I almost did.
for best or worse.
Well, worst, I hated that movie. But there was a couple more that I hated. So,
Yeah, that's what I got for number five for me. What about you?
oh man, these are not in order at all. I guess I will go with a Not So Merry Christmas. It was a foreign Christmas film, kind of like Groundhog Day. The guy that's reliving the same day over and over until he gets it right. It was a
Mhm.
Spanish foreign film. It just was boring. It just, I didn't think this concept could be boring. I've
Mhm.
seen several movies like this year. Watching my Christmas
Mhm.
watch list that had that formula. It wasn't boring. It's just a lot of them didn't hit, but this one really didn't hit. So
Right.
that,
I,
that would be number
uh,
five.
all right. Number four for me. Then I'm gonna move. I would say uh, 99 for me. I didn't really care for it. I thought
I
I,
like
I
some of it.
I understand what they're trying to do as far as like the Ocean's 11 type of thing.
Yeah.
But it just now that little actor, the kid, I loved him in 8-Bit. But in this, I just didn't really care for the movie. Just for me.
Yeah, I watched it last night. I didn't hate it, hate it. It just, it didn't hit for me. I like the little kid though. I think he's good. But number four for me, I'm gonna go The Spruces and the Pines, which I think was on Amazon. It's about two people that kind of fall for each other, but their families are at war with each other. It's kind of a Romeo and Juliet
Mm-hmm.
situation. It just didn't hit. It was, again, kind of boring. I didn't really care for the actors. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, you know, Romeo and Juliet Christmas.
Yeah, I understand. That don't sound too appetizing. All right. For me, number three would be a movie called. I would say I'm going to go ahead and move this. Candy Cane Lane to my number three spot.
Mm.
Uh, because I didn't hate it, but I didn't absolutely love it. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't make my list. Thankfully, I didn't want to put that on there, even though I didn't like it at all.
Mhm.
Number three for me is Christmas with the Campbells. It's with Justin Long. He gives the worst Minnesota accent I've ever heard. Uh, it's about this girl that gets dumped and she gets invited to his family's Christmas, and she meets Justin Long, who's their cousin, and they kind of fall for each other. It's really dumb. But
Okay.
I have a similar movie on my nice list.
Okay. And then I would say that was three.
Yeah.
So number two for me would actually be, I would say, First Christmas. It's a movie about a girl who was like, I guess, adopted. She was in a foster care and stuff like that when she was a kid because her mom died and her dad didn't take her. But her dad became wealthy, but her dad ended up dying. But the grandmother tracked her down and invited her to spend Christmas with her other siblings and herself and other people. It all felt it was a movie that was put on by the Oprah Network own, but it just felt more Lifetime and cheap. The sets, like the place that they were at, it felt cheap. It didn't really feel like the difference between this and other things I got on the list is, and I mentioned this, being or feeling lived in, feeling real. And it doesn't feels like it's not their house. It feels like it's not their family. It just didn't feel authentic. So there you go. That's my number two. Yeah.
My number two, Home Sweet Home Alone. I finally watched this piece of crap, and I hated the kid. I like the parents, but not his parents. The parents that are trying to break into his place. I like them. This movie shouldn't have been made. The concept was, it's not a concept for a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
These parents lose a doll. They think the kid stole it, so they try to break in. You got no real villains, and the kid's not likable. It's just, why Disney? Why? That's what I left.
You said, why did they bring Buzz back? Yeah.
Yeah, to me, he was not Buzz. Even though he's only in the movie for like 2 minutes, but it just, I don't know. Maybe the guy hasn't acted in forever, and he forgot how to play Buzz.
It could be. Yeah. All right. For me, my number one worst Christmas movie I've seen this year is alternate type of Christmas movie. It's A Wonderful Knife. Absolutely hated it. Justin Long is doing something weird in here.
Justin made our list.
Justin made my list too, man. And it's crazy because I like Justin Long. I really enjoy Justin, but I just think that he does. It feels like it wants to be Scream, but you can't be Scream. That's it's my best way of putting it. It wants to be Scream, but it doesn't. I felt the same way about what's that Fear Street, but I felt like Fear Street turned it around where I became a fan towards the end, with everything overall. With this, it missed a lot of marks for me.
It's a shame. Poor Justin. For me, my number one Christmas movie that I just did not like this year was Christmas on Mistletoe Farm. It was a Netflix movie. I can't even remember the plot. It just had a bunch of farm animals. I think this woman inherited this farm. It was so bad. The acting was literally the worst I've ever seen. It was cheap, but I just wanted to turn it off. And I kept checking to see the time every 5 minutes. It was that bad. It just wasn't good. It didn't feel Christmassy either.
Yeah. All right. For the best list, before I get to the best things I've seen, I want to throw out a couple of classics that I liked, that I enjoyed. I think Brandon watched them too. Some of them. But I just want to real quick. Isn't really on my list, but I want to say I got to revisit Elf with my grandkid. One of my grandkids, and I absolutely loved revisiting this movie. And Jon Favreau did an excellent job with this film, and it's just like one of those classics, man. And it was very fun. And then also one that is now my new favorite is 8-Bit Christmas, and was watching a little bit with my other with one of my other grandkids, and I really enjoyed. Like I like it more than the Christmas Story. It has
Oh,
surpassed it for me, just for
easy.
me.
I mean, I think it was just so much better. Similar concept, but so much better.
Well executed better, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your number 5? Oh,
Oh, yeah. So
you didn't actually say
yeah,
what
yeah,
it
yeah.
was.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Number 5 for me would be I would say Family Switch. Uh, it was a movie that um, it's a body switch movie. We've seen them before, not so much with a Christmas type of concept, I guess, or I haven't. But I just felt like it was um, it didn't really hit the mark that they wanted to hit for me. But I loved it. I loved it, but it made my list. I loved it, but it just didn't really. That's why it's not higher up. I loved
Mm,
it though. I enjoyed the actors in it. But it just was that.
I haven't seen it yet. Planning to watch tomorrow though. Okay, number 5 for me, a Peacock original. I didn't think I would like this. I thought, oh God, Melissa McCarthy, Christmas movie. This is gonna suck so bad. But you know what? I actually really enjoyed. I thought she was funny, and I don't say that often, but I thought she was funny in the movie. I liked the story. I thought it was a kind, sweet Christmas story, and I
Mhm.
love the fact that she is weirdly obsessed with Tom Cruise. Like
Mhm.
the only thing missing for me in this movie is an actual Tom Cruise cameo.
That have
It's the
been
only
dope.
thing. It would have been, but they did at least get permission to use the Mission Impossible movie where he actually broke his leg. But
Mhm.
I really enjoyed it though. I thought it was a sweet taking the genie concept and putting it as a Christmas movie. I thought it was a kind-hearted, sweet little movie.
Yeah, the genie is what he's talking about, by the way. And so that's going to be my number 4 as well. Genie,
Genie.
it's on my list. But Genie, what I also liked about it too is they mention Jesus in it, but they don't make fun of Christianity, nor do they make fun of Jesus. She says, "Hey, like he was my friend. I knew him," type of thing, and you know, and
Yeah.
so I love some people want to be mean and punch down when it comes to like Christianity and Christ. And I'm thankful that that didn't do that. And so I really enjoyed it. I really had a great time with the movie. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, number 4 for me would be Genie.
All right. Number 4 for me is a Freevee original movie called Xmas. It had a similar concept to not Christmas with the Campbells.
Mhm.
These two people, they break up. The girl gets invited to his family's Christmas. He's not supposed to be there because he's supposed to be working. He ends up coming anyway, and they have to kind of get along. And I just like the dynamic of the family. It was cheaply made, but I just like the dynamic of the family, and it kind of teases a sequel with the
Mhm.
sister and her ex getting invited to Christmas. I had fun with it.
Okay. Number 3 for me is actually nothing like the holidays. A movie that we watched for this podcast that I've never seen before, and I think that this is out of all the Christmas movies I've seen in a long time. This one felt like a real authentic family, and I really enjoyed everybody in the cast. We talked about it was the last week or whatever, but yeah, I loved it. So yeah, it made my list. I think it's a really great movie. I'm thankful that you picked it. So
Number 3 for me would be Something from Tiffany's, which is an Amazon Prime movie. Came out last year. Is about these two people that cross paths. One gets hit by a car, and they both bought something from Tiffany's for their women. And
mhm.
the guy ends up picking up a bag that's not his, and the other guy's got an engagement ring. He gives it to his girl, and they're shocked. And the other guy's giving earrings. So it's about getting his stuff back, but they kind of fall. The girl and the other guy kind of fall for each other. So it was a fun time, fun little romantic comedy around Christmas.
That's interesting. All right. For me, the next movie number two for me is Dashing Through the Snow. Movie with Ludacris and Laurel Howard. Um, uh, it was a fun movie. It gave me it had nothing to do with the same concept, but it gave me Jingle All the Way vibes a bit, in a way of just like that whole city, going through the city, trying to get things done before somebody finds out. It's just very one of those type of things where the father and his daughter is trying to help this man, uh, Santa Claus, that says he claims to be Santa Claus, find what he's looking for, and it's just fun. And Laurel was so convincing as Santa, so convincing, and so I really absolutely enjoyed it. It's a good one. I don't know if you watched it, but I think you should.
Not yet. I haven't seen it yet. My number two is Let It Snow, a Netflix original. It was a film I didn't expect much. It's like an ensemble cast. Uh, all these little different stories connect towards the end. You know, it's kind of one of those kind of films. Joan Cusack's in it. If that may get you there, yeah.
Joan or John?
Joan, not John.
Okay, okay. I was about to say, ah,
I mean, you know, I hadn't seen Joan in anything in a long time, so I saw that she was in it. It's like, well, that's interesting. It's gonna be
how long ago was this?
2 years ago, I think.
Okay. Hmm.
It has the girl that plays Dora the Explorer too.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So I liked all the little stories and I like how they connect. Uh, and it's around Christmas. I mean, I enjoyed it.
Okay. The best Christmas movie I've seen this Christmas is a movie called The Holdovers. I got to watch it. I got to screen it. It has Paul Giamatti um, in it as a teacher at this like fancy school who's kept looking after the kids that don't go home for Christmas. But he pretty much gets stuck with one specific kid, and there's also a lady there that works in the kitchen, and it's just the three of them pretty much having to become a makeshift family during this holiday, and it's really really good. Paul Giamatti is one of my favorite. Is one of my favorite character actors, and I think that he don't get not a lot of love, man. He's really good in this. Can't wait for you to see it, Brandon. Hopefully you see it some point, but it's really good.
That's I like Paul. So my number one is a movie that's been out for a long time. I just had never seen it till it was actually my second film I watched on my watch list. Love Actually. I honestly I didn't even know it was a Christmas movie when I heard about it. I didn't even know Rick Grimes. I can't think of his name. Oh, he's Walking Dead. You know who I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
I didn't know he was in this. So, but seeing him and so young and seeing Hugh Grant and all the cast. I mean, it's like an ensemble cast where all the stories kind of connect towards the end. Liam Neeson's in it. It was just a very interesting. All these stories were very interesting, and this is so much better than Let It Snow. But this is like a 5-star movie in my opinion. But it was very interesting to see all these characters, and most of them are likable. So you know, except for Hans Gruber. I mean, he was kind of cheating on his wife, kind of. But
Hmm.
I saw some of this is why he died in Die Hard. He got resurrected in Harry Potter. It just,
Yeah. I
but
like Alan Rickman.
yeah. But if you haven't seen it, I do recommend Love Actually. It was a lot of fun.
Okay. I have never seen it.
It's on Netflix.
All right, we're gonna move on to our next big thing. We're gonna be reviewing. We're gonna be reviewing. As Brandon says, one of the most depressing movies.
It is.
Uh,
It is.
we're doing The Color Purple, uh, movie that came out 1985. It was based on a book, a novel by Alice Walker. Um, this was directed by Steven Spielberg. Music, as Brandon told me, plus producing by uh, Quincy Jones.
Yeah.
Which uh, man, the synopsis from IMDb: a black Southern woman struggles to find her identity after suffering abuse from her father and others over 4 decades. This movie stars is with Brandon, and I agree with Brandon. The very underrated Whoopi Goldberg, very underrated. Uh, she, I think that Whoopi did an excellent job, man, in this movie. Danny Glover makes you hate him. He does a great
Oh,
job in this movie.
I'm so angry at you. I love Danny Glover, man, and I wanted to kill him.
Yeah,
It broke my heart to see him have this kind of portrayal. I don't want to see him do anything like this ever again.
but he did it well, didn't he?
Oh, he did. I believed every second that he was this vile woman beater. Just, oh man, when this movie started, I was like, "What has Aaron got us watching right before Christmas? What? This is wrong." And I was like, "But it's shocking to me that Steven Spielberg directed this.
Hmm.
Honestly,
You said it didn't feel for you like a Spielberg film,
no,
but in a good way though.
in a
You
good
said
way.
right.
No, it doesn't. This is unlike anything I've ever seen him direct, and I haven't seen what was that movie? Uh,
I have never seen Schindler's List.
I haven't. I started it, but I couldn't finish it. I saw maybe 15, 20 minutes of it. That and this and that, they don't feel anything like Spielberg. It's probably the only
Hmm.
two films I would say that just doesn't feel like it's a Spielberg production.
I think it still has Spielberg's the spirit of Spielberg in it in some scenes, like especially the scene where she's like uh, preparing the food for Suge, and and just waiting to see what happens, and just like uh, I don't know, Spielberg has a way of taking a very rough subject matter and still bringing some levity, bringing some spirit, some soul to it. Whoopi by far, uh, she was a very young actress at this point. Well, comedian wise, Spielberg's. She came in and auditioned, and Spielberg immediately told her, I want you, and if you're not doing the movie, then I'm not doing the movie." That's what Spielberg told Whoopi. Told the producers and stuff. Told them. Um, Whoopi, I think, was able to transform herself to a character, to a lady who was absolutely believable as this person.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and oh man, and I also want to shout out Oprah Winfrey's in this movie as Miss Sophia. What you think? Hey, have you ever seen Oprah in anything? Was it your first experience of Oprah acting, or?
I want to say I've seen one other film she did, but I'm not. I know she's produced films I've seen. I believe she did that movie that came out last year about the little boy that got killed. Um, didn't she? Didn't she produce that?
I don't know what movie you're referring to.
I can't think of the title. It was about it.
Uh, Carlos Bailey, my buddy Carlos. The real brothers. Amen. Carlos says Whoopi should have won an Oscar. I agree, Carlos. Whoopi should have won an Oscar. I felt like she, and it's a shame that she didn't win. She did such a great job with,
Yeah,
like, her transformation was from the beginning of the movie to who she was at the end of the movie. She was a different person.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, she was just amazing. But I've always had, I have a special place for Whoopi. I mean, I don't care what she's doing comedy. I spoke to this about this yesterday. I don't. I have never seen anyone that can do a dramatic role like she's done, and then do comedy like she's done. And be as as good as she is. There's only one other actor I've seen able to accomplish that, and that was Robin Williams.
Hmm.
That that can do both at a high level. I've never seen anybody. I've never seen a woman. I don't care what color they are. I've never seen any woman able to do what she's done. And maybe I'm biased because I do. I love Whoopi Goldberg, but I've honestly never seen it. But she was amazing in this, and I felt so bad for her. And once it
Yeah,
starts with her character as a kid, as I said, what have you got me watching?
yeah,
To see all
like
that, to
yeah,
see them, the father sell the babies. I mean, I might forget what he did to her, but to sell her baby, then
yeah,
the pawn her off to Danny Glover's character, and you see what he does to her. I'm like,
yeah,
well, it broke my heart, honestly. It was
yeah.
hard for me to watch. This is like one of the hardest. I would, as far as compared to the most depressing thing I've ever seen, I would compare this to Passion of the Christ in a way.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, it's
It,
hard to
it,
watch.
you said this. You said you asked me if this was based on a true story because it felt so real.
Yeah, it did. It felt
Uh,
real.
but yeah, like you said, like, oh, must have happened to someone. But as far as I know, it's not based on a true story. If somebody knows any different, please let me know. But yeah, so the movie starts off with Celie and a young Celie and her sister Nettie, who is her best friend. That's her world, and they having a very uh, uh, abusive father in a way that he should never be abusive, but especially in this way he's abusive, and we have Celie pregnant by her father, from who from what we know at that point, and the moment that she has her daughter Ophelia, I think it's her name, Olivia, he takes her and, like you said, sells her to someone else,
Yeah.
and Celie rather to be quiet and don't mention it to nobody if you know what's best for you. Um, but then, like you said, and then you see this older man prowling on these girls and Mister. Um, so you said it's hard for you to kind of like because you love Danny Glover, so
I do.
so it's hard for you to kind of
I
be
can't
like,
unsee what I've seen here, Aaron. I stayed awake. I knew he did something like this. I heard about it when I was a kid. I was like, okay, I'm never watching that movie. I don't want to see Danny Glover like that.
you didn't know you'd be on the podcast with
I
me.
didn't. I did not know. Oh, I hated it too. I hated watching him do what he was doing. I was like, no, Danny, you'd be breaking my heart, Danny.
Yeah.
But he
So
was so good though, playing this kind of character. Man, that guy does not get enough credit either. He doesn't.
yeah, he was very, very much transformed from, like, we know Danny from Lethal Weapon. We know him from uh, what, Predator 2.
Yeah.
Other things like that. And we see him now as the lovable father or grandfather in certain things now. I hadn't really seen him lately, but in anything.
He
But
played
that,
Santa in the Naughty Ones.
oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh,
The
okay, that's cool. I
glorified
didn't.
cameo that he made.
Oh, did he say I'm too old for this? Did he say his line?
I don't think so. He
Okay.
usually does say it in every movie, though. It's kind
Yeah,
of like
that's
his "I'll be back."
yeah, yeah. But Danny in this film was believable. His name is Albert,
Yeah.
but everybody just call him Mister. Well, at least Whoopi's character Celie calls him Mister because he that's just who he is. But I came to realize this from watching this movie that the reason why Danny Glover or Mister is the way that he is because he suffered the same type of cruelty from his father,
Yeah.
and so he thinks that's the way that you treat women or treat your children in order to the rule with a stern hand, and that's a generational type of mindset that a lot of abusers have. But yeah, I thought that was unique. A little bit. I had a little bit more sympathy for him in some sense, especially that scene with him and his father, and how he kind of shuddered under this frail man who was his dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, just so proud. Just that goes for Danny Glover. Danny Glover plays such a daunting, towering storm of a character in this movie. But then when he met his father, when he was talking to his father, he like took the knee essentially to his father.
Also,
Uh,
I felt that he kind of backed down with Oprah Winfrey's character. Like if
mm,
a woman would stand up to him, he would back off. I felt
mm.
that. I felt that, and his son definitely did.
Yeah,
But
I agree with you. I never noticed that. Yeah,
yeah,
good point out.
yeah, and you know, we haven't got there to Oprah's character yet. But I thought she really did a good job in this too. But maybe the first time I ever seen her act. I'm not sure. I want to say that I saw her in something, but maybe not. She was really good in this, and they broke her though. And I was thinking when we got to that
Oh,
scene when
yeah,
she hit the guy, hit the white man.
yeah.
I know he was important. I just don't know what he was.
He was the mayor.
Mayor. I was thinking mayor, but and I was like, well, that's not really fair. But I know the time. I know the time and the age we were living. They were in. You weren't allowed. You can't just go off hitting a white man if you were black. I mean, you just couldn't do that.
Hmm.
She did it, and I was like, and they put her in jail for 8 years. I thought
Hmm.
that's crazy. But then my brain starts to think, okay, well, the time frame, and how they were treated. And I was like, but my mind today is like, that's just crazy. But
Yeah,
they mentally broke her in
yeah.
jail.
That's what they did. They mentally broke her down to because she was at this point before Celie meets Suge Avery, the strongest woman that she knew would probably have been Miss Sophia,
Yeah,
Oprah. And I want to say this too. Oprah should be applauded for her what she did in this movie. She was so transformed to this character, uh, and so believable. As like this woman, man, I absolutely like the way that she was like. She kind of knew what she wanted, and she's like, she didn't take stuff from nobody.
yeah,
But that ended up unfortunately got her in trouble because you know, she thought that would carry over to like the white world, but
yeah,
she didn't see that, and it didn't. And that's the hardest part in this movie for me to watch is that scene. Is actually that scene there with Oprah getting hit in the face with the gun, and
yeah.
it's just the hardest part for me to see. It really is. It's traumatic. It's very traumatic. A lot of stuff is traumatic in this movie, no doubt.
Yeah. Whew. Oh man. But yeah, that scene, and I've never been in a situation like that at all. I never will
Mhm.
be, probably. I mean, and thankfully, but and I know I hear people like saying white privilege, and I guess I really never really thought about it, truthfully. But I guess you're
It's a
right.
thing.
It
It's
is a
a thing,
thing.
man. It is a thing. We
It
know it's a
is,
thing.
and it's the movie I was talking about earlier was Teal, about the boy that got killed.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, Emmett Till. Yeah, Emmett Till.
I
True
thought she
story.
produced.
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
thought she produced it, but anyway,
she
uh,
might have. Yeah.
it just that scene is hard to watch because she was standing up for. She was right to stand up. She wasn't no maid. This white woman was like, "Do you want to be my maid?" It's hell no. That's what she
Yeah.
said. It says, "Excuse me." Hell no. Say
I
it
said
again.
hell no.
And then the
And then
guy, her
the
husband,
mayor, yeah, came
yeah,
over and was like, What did you say to Miss Mealy? I said, hell. And then he slaps
Yeah.
her. And that beautiful, this is Steven's work. He slaps her. You see the slap. You see her hand hit the thing. And then it, like the fist is
Yeah.
built, balled. And then you see her eye just over the shoulder, just kind of the way it's shot. And then you hear Lawrence Fishburne say, "No, Miss Sophia, no, Miss Sophia." What do you think about Lawrence Fishburne being in this movie, by the
Yeah,
way?
I had no idea he was in this movie. It was good to see him. Like I believe this at the time he was probably on. If it was on, I don't remember when Pee Wee started, but he was probably on that
Yeah,
at
in
the
between that
around.
and I think he probably just wrapped or just started. This is '85.
Yeah,
Uh, I don't know when Nightmare on Elm Street 3 came out, but he probably was.
I
He was
want to say
busy.
that's. I want to say Nightmare on Elm Street 3 was because the first Freddy was 84. I want to say it was like 88.
'88. Okay, so he was busy. Like you said, if he was doing Pee Wee, then he was busy. Um, but yeah, man. Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne is in here. But yeah, I want to talk real quick about some things. I looked at the behind the scenes stuff. So for the snow, Steven Spielberg used uh, salt, like the same salt that you salt like sidewalks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
When it snow, he used that for the snow scenes, just on the ground, uh, to produce snow. Uh, I think Steven was able to recreate, and not just Steven, but other people, but they were able to recreate the past and do it so, in my opinion, authentically. Like you felt while you was watching the movie, you was in every time period that they was in, um,
yeah,
with these characters.
I agree. Yeah, I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
I did not want to
You-
be there.
But what I noticed too, looking at this. So um, Celie, when she's young, Mr. slaps her. Well, first the kid Harpo, who grows up to being the one that marries Oprah. Harpo says, "You ain't my mama," and throws a rock at her, and busts her head open.
Yeah,
And while she's like combing the kid's hair out, uh, Mr. slaps her. Um, and oh man, and you know, but you can tell at that point in her life, although she has suffered the other type of abuse from her father, maybe even verbal as well, I would say, but she has not at that point suffered physical. And
yeah,
so she didn't, so her response to being slapped was like soul crushing. Um, and so she got in the, she knows what like now it's like to be beaten by this man. Uh, but I want to mention the scene with Nettie and so Mister wants to make advances at Nettie. Nettie fights
yeah,
him off, and then like the scene where Nettie is trying to stay with Celie, but the Mister is trying to pull her off, and get her to go leave. So what Steven Spielberg did is he told uh, the actress to play Nettie, whatever you do, don't let go of your sister. Don't let them pry you away from your sister. Whatever you do. Uh, and then he told Danny Glover something. He don't know no one knows what he told Danny. Probably tell Danny the opposite.
oh
Like
god.
whatever you do, don't let her hold on to her sister. It is, like that's
Yeah,
probably the direction he gave him. And Danny Glover said that doing that scene, it was so difficult for him to do that and be that type of person that he needed a moment essentially to like
I know what he's
to
talking
get,
about there.
you know what I'm
Cause
saying? Like he had to go
yeah,
to a place where he didn't really want to
yes,
go.
yeah, I've been there. And it's not fun. It messes with your mind. You just it's just not fun. I understand what he's talking about. Um, But I hated seeing him portray this guy though. It was hard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really was. You know, you see other actors portray rapists, serial killers. You know, they make it fun, and they do. Robert De Niro made his portrayal as Matt Cady and Cape Fear fun.
Mm.
Anthony Hopkins and Hannibal, they make it fun.
Mm.
There's nothing fun about this movie. Not one little bit. Well, I will take that back. There is one aspect that's fun that both Danny Glover and Whoopi Goldberg kind of fall for the same woman.
Yeah.
This is the one woman that he actually loves.
Yeah, and it's Shug Avery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is Margaret Avery, played by Margaret Avery. You might know her. She's been an actress for years. But have you ever seen she's in that show The Neighborhood, which I've never seen that. But I noticed she was in feel like she was in like one of those movies like The Cookout or Johnson's Family or something. She's in something. I can't think of what it is. But yeah, I like her. But yeah, you're right. They do have they have a thing for the same lady. But
Yeah.
before we get to her, because this is gonna piggyback into that. So you will see whenever Shug Avery is coming into town or anything with Shug, Danny becomes so giddy and so like a child,
Yeah.
you know. And she's and she ain't gonna do nothing about it. She's like, but I love the scene where she like already knows what he's looking for and what he needs, and the way that Seeley presents stuff, to him, like his tie, the suits, and stuff like that. Um, he she knows, but and I asked Salethia, who loves this movie. I asked her about that. I said, uh, I noticed that he don't beat her as much or hit her as much, things like that. Uh, and then she says, "Well, what it is that Seeley has now learned to adapt to her abuser, to not get the beatings and not get this, and so she learned how to adapt in what he likes, so that to not suffer his wrath." And I thought that was very, it's something that being in terrible relationships, you probably know about, you know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can agree with that. Not that it was abusive or anything, but did fight a lot with my ex. So I started doing stuff that I knew I would. She had an issue with me hanging out with people at night, so I would go during the day. After a certain, I got tired of fighting. So yeah, you adapt to it. So
Mm.
I think that's with anybody that's been in a relationship where you fight all the time. You don't want to fight. You get to a certain point, you just don't want to fight.
Oh, another scene I wanted to tell you about. So when Oprah, when Celie, because she thinks the answer to uh Harpo and Sophia's problems is Harpo needs to beat her, because that's what broke her, is
Mm-hmm.
being beaten. So she thinks, well, that's the way things are. You need a beater. Uh, and so when Oprah comes up and does that, she did that hoe in one shot, one take.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. She said, I can do this. Because, and so she did it and she hit a mark and she said the line, and that's what you got in the movie. That line.
Mm.
She did great. I'm telling you, man. She did an excellent job in this movie.
Was that her first time acting?
It was the first time acting, yeah.
Was it Whoopi's as well? Because it said introducing Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, I would say that's the first time too. Like she did comedy and stuff like that, but not. I don't think she's made that leap into film. I don't know when Jumpin' Jack Flash was. Um, uh, let's
I think
see.
around the same time, but I have actually never seen that movie. I don't think.
Yeah, I can't really tell you. I can't. I don't think I've. I remember little peek into my world. I remember as a kid, uh, uh, on VHS tape, it being on one of my tapes. You know, where you recorded three different movies, or three or four different movies on one tape.
Yeah.
That was one of the movies that my mother had recorded from probably HBO or something. Whenever it's doing like a sale or free for a week or whatever, that's when mom would record all the movies so that we have the movies. But yeah, um, yeah. So I remember being on there, but I remember it being on there with something else that I liked watching instead, like uh, uh, that whatever that beach movie, or maybe a Police Academy or something like that. So I remember fast forwarding past Jumpin' Jack Flash to get to the next movie. It's so it's how it was, but anyway, uh, with Miss Suge Avery, with Suge Avery's character, first thing that she tells Celie, she says, "You show is ugly," you know, and she battled so bad through this movie because she's always been told she's ugly. She's not much
Yeah.
to look at. She's ugly. She's black, ugly. She had bad posture, whatever else. Uh, but she's always been told that. So she struggled with this self confidence because of that.
Yeah.
Um, but like that's why she like covered her mouth when she smiled and laughed because she didn't like her smile. Did you ever notice that with Whoopi's?
Yeah, I noticed she was doing that. I really didn't pick up on that it was because of a self-confidence problem. But when you think about it, yeah, that probably is exactly why. Because she had been told that all her life,
Mhm.
and you don't understand if you get told that at an early age, it stays with you. It
Mm.
just does, and that's why a lot of people
Ooh.
that do have self-confidence problems, it's stuck with them all their life. They've been told whatever they've been told, it's just stuck with them. So
Mm.
yeah, so that was very authentic, and like I said, she was unbelievable in this movie, and but yeah, that stuck with her, and she remembered her saying that she was drunk, but she remembered her saying because it came up later in the movie when they are actually close,
Hmm.
and and she was like, "Oh no, you're beautiful," and you have a great smile, and I was like, and of course, she didn't believe her, but because of what she had heard that first night, it stuck with her.
Hmm.
So
I wanted a scene that I wanted to. This I want to talk about this too. So Spielberg did an excellent job with intercutting real things and breaking it up with some humor. Like Harpo, for the most part, was a very comic relief type of character, and you need it in this movie because, like you said, it's such a depressing conversation to have. So you need somebody that's gonna make you laugh. And so the scene where Harpo, after Harpo says you told, Sophia said you told Harpo to beat me, and then it cuts immediately to like this. Harpo saying, "Now, Daddy, it was that mule. That mule kicked me right in the face." You
yeah,
know, and then he's like talking about it and stuff, and he said, "Don't look like a mule print." And then Danny Glover says, "It looks like a fish print to
yeah,
me." I thought that was I thought that was so funny, man. That was what I mean by Spielberg had a way of interjecting, even in a terrible situation, interjecting levity. Uh, something that was kind of to brighten it up. Like when Mister was trying to cook uh, breakfast, and he
hmm
was cutting himself and everything and making a mess, uh, and when he goes to get the kerosene, it's a quick shot of the rocking chair that Celie was sitting in. She's sitting in that chair like that, watching him. But then, like when he gets the kerosene, and then and pours it in there and lights it, it's a cut to the same chair, but it's empty and rocking, and you can just see a woof, you know. And my wife pointed out to me that Celie, not Celie, but Mister's clothes was singed while he's carrying the burnt food up the steps. His hurt shirt was like kind of still smoking, from the fire.
Yeah.
Um, it was, oh man, I just think that was a wonderful uh way of like breaking the tension.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It really was. And I didn't really think of that he was using his son as a comic relief type character. Overall, I didn't really grasp that, but yeah, you're right. He was because most of his scenes was comical,
Mhm.
honestly. But man, it was just you gotta have that though because with everything you're dealing with in this movie, I mean the trauma is so much trauma. Oh god. You have to
He,
have some comic relief. You do. Otherwise, everybody's gonna be depressed watching this. It's gonna be,
yeah. That guy
you know,
was Mayor Kuzik in RoboCop 2, by the way, the guy to play Harpo.
yeah. He looked
I didn't,
familiar, actually. I was like, I
yeah.
couldn't place him, but he did look familiar.
He was
But
also in a Passenger 51 or whatever. You know, he's in that movie.
57,
57, that one, yeah. Um, I've never seen it, so I don't know. Um, don't come at me, Brandon.
I'm
Um,
just trying to place him. I don't remember who he
he,
was.
but also it brings me to another thing. So after Sophia leaves and stuff, Harpo eventually creates like a juke joint. It's him my juke joint.
Yeah.
But he creates a juke joint with his new girlfriend named Squeak, who is
Uh,
played by Radon Chong, Tommy
from
Chong's
Commando.
daughter. Yeah, it's Tommy Chong's daughter. But yeah, from Commando, from Quest of Fire.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that was his daughter.
yeah, it's his daughter. But yeah, so she's in this movie. I love the scene with, and that's another comedic scene is when Miss Sophia comes back and she's just like in a good mood. She's down forgiving Celie. She's forgiving Harpo. You know, they just like having a good time. And I love that. And then like Squeak comes in and is like, Harpo, who's that woman? And then like Harper like, now it's my head juke joint. I do what I want. That's what I want. And then like she said, well, she better leave you alone. Then Miss Sophia's like, well, fine with me. And then like, and then like but at the same time, Spielberg is cutting away, and you see little like different people be like, all right, I'm out of here, guys. Like leaving because they know it's the furniture's
Yeah.
about to move. Just so funny. And then like the moment that she slaps her, and then the guy said, whoop, time to go. Did you catch that?
I did. I mean, she really hit her too. Hit her hard, knocked her plumb down the uh I'm gonna call it a basement. It reminded me of Evil Dead, actually, the setup, and she just knocked her completely down there,
Yeah,
right in the water. And I was like, man, Oprah can hit. That's what I felt. I felt like don't mess with Oprah Winfrey
don't
after
mess with
watching
Oprah
it.
Winfrey.
Yeah,
That's the takeaway.
that is
But
my
yeah,
takeaway.
yeah. But I love that scene. It just shows what like well, once again, there's Harpo in a very comedic time. If you think about Harpo too, like when him falling through the roof, and everything, it's just that's who his character was. His character was to bring in some lightness in this whole chaotic thing. But I do
Accident
love the
prone.
scene. Huh? Yeah,
He was
yeah.
very accident
Uh,
prone.
very accident prone. But I do like that they were able to like towards the end of the movie. We're gonna go ahead and adjust towards after towards the end of the movie. Um, another thing that you see is Suge Avery and her father's relationship. So I guess this is my understanding. This is what I'm thinking. She must have left home to kind of become famous as a singer and went into the world, and the father pretty much disowned her.
Yeah,
Uh, and so she is essentially dead to him, and it hurts
yeah.
him and grieves him that she's out in the world and not really, selling herself and selling herself short, essentially, uh, messing with this married man and things like that, and so he wouldn't even look at her and stuff. But I love one of my favorite scenes in this movie is when the maybe God's trying to tell you something scene where where she this is towards the end of the movie, but yeah, where she stops singing the song that she's singing, the worldly song that she's singing, essentially, and starts hearing the song, like saying, literally hearing that God is trying to tell us something. It's time to come home. It's time to come back to church. It's time to, And so
Yeah.
she had to stop. It's very prodigal son like. So she had to stop what she's doing, and go back. And she brought the club with her. So what was your thoughts on that scene?
It was very much coming home, as you put it. Coming a full circle moment for her. She
Mhm.
ran. You gotta say what it is. She ran from God, and she joined the world. She had all kinds of fun, but something still was missing in her life. She didn't know
Mm.
what it was. She searched out so much for it, and but when she finally came home, she realized what it really was. It was God, you know. And I like what she said when she was hugging her dad. Even sinners have souls, and I really
Mm.
like that line. But I thought it was a great moment, very
Mhm.
touching moment in the movie.
Yeah, I was actually grinning from ear to ear at that scene, man. Just it's so pleasing that that's how she wanted. Actually, all this year is to feel her father's embrace. And
Yeah,
when he put his arms around her, the way that she kind of like had took her soul almost, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Uh just like was so, so good, man. And I love that you see, out of all the bad negative fathers in this movie, you see the father that isn't that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah, it hurt him that she's in the world, and so he couldn't really do anything with her, like have that relationship, because he can't condone what she's doing. But and it breaks his heart. He hurts and he mourns her being gone, like she's dead, but she is alive. I love that. I love that resurrection scene for her. But yeah, and then also I love at the same time, because we gotta get here first. The everything you done to me has already been done to you. Scene.
hmm
What was your thoughts on that table scene with Celie finally putting her foot down and saying enough is enough with Mister?
Well, I actually gotta go back before that when she's getting ready to shave him.
Mm. So explain what happened right before that. So she found the letters.
Yeah, she found the letters. Uh, what was her name? Sugar.
Suge Avery, yeah, Suge.
Okay, Sugar Avery. Checked the mail because Albert usually checks it, and she sees that she's got a letter. Celie's
Mhm.
got a letter from her sister, and they find out where he's been hiding them. She's reading them, and she's finally had enough, and she's getting ready to shave him, and
Well,
she's
right
really
before that, right before that though, right before that. So what it is she's well, Steven does a beautiful thing on the screen where it cuts between her reading the letters and what is going on in her world compared to what's going on in Africa. So
yeah
that like the cut scenes between the two, between the like it's the match cuts is very beautiful. But there's one part where it's the something's happening and she's reading the letter, just saw golf, and I guess Mister must have been calling her and she hasn't been responding.
yeah
So he comes up and slaps her the last time he's gonna ever slap her. That's what it was. Like he slapped her back into reality.
yeah he
And she's
did he
trying to
did
she escaped through the letters,
yeah
but that's not enough. Wow, that's
no
powerful.
yeah and
So
she
go
was
ahead.
sharpening it, getting ready to shave him. Well, she's not getting ready to shave him, she's getting ready to kill him, and I was like, please do it, just kill him. just kill him, get it over with. I'm tired of seeing him doing this. I just kill him. I have never wanted to see anything happen to somebody so much. Just I wanted Danny Glover to die.
Wow.
That's where I was at in this movie. But yeah, I was expecting it to happen too. I was, and we get a close up of Danny looking up, and she's being held by
Suge.
Suge, yeah, and that was a big time moment, man. It really was. It's like he's like, "What's going on?" You know, it's like, "What is she? She's gonna kill me," you know.
Yeah, I think he realizes. I think he realized that I done stepped in it, you know,
Yeah.
and but he isn't ready to say but I think he realizes that yeah, I better not hit her no more. I better not hit her no more because like she was gonna cut him,
Oh
she was
yeah,
gonna kill him,
she
she's gonna
was.
kill him,
And
but
you
it
know,
just like you can juxtapose that to the earlier scene when she's shaving her, as where she's so scared to cut him, so
yeah,
nervous, didn't want to cut him, didn't want to mess up at all, because he said if you cut me, I'll kill you, and so she was so nervous. But then with this scene, there's no nerve in her hand whatsoever. She's like, I'm gonna cut this man. I'm gonna slice him. She's getting right ready, go in there and just let him go. And you was
yeah,
like, do it,
I
do it.
was. But I'm glad she didn't do it with the ending that we did end up getting.
Yeah.
But in that moment, yeah, I was like, if anybody had deserved this, it is Danny Glover's character Albert. He
Hmm.
deserves it. Um, but it doesn't happen, and you know, we get to the kitchen table, and she's just had enough, and she's leaving.
And then you see Miss Sophia as well. She's there, and she is now uh mute essentially. She's not really talking, not really doing anything. She's kind of in the shell. Like you said, she's been broken. And so uh and that whole scene there, Spielberg said to Oprah, "How do you really feel?" And everything that Oprah said was ad lib. Oprah's whole scene. Oprah, y'all need to give Oprah her props. She did her thing. But Um, but yeah. But anyway, so man, Celie said, "I never asked you for nothing, not even your sorry hand in marriage." And just like really, like she stood up and she was a strong woman. She wasn't weak, little Celie. She
Yeah,
wasn't this broken Celie. She was this woman that's been tired of this man. She's tired of the abuse. She's tired of the lies, and she has the children, and her children is in Africa, and they are living, and they're reading, and they're learning, and they're exploring, and she wants to do the same thing, you
yeah,
know. And he and oh, that whole scene with like the father keep saying, "How you gonna let this woman talk to you at your table, boy? You're at the head of your own table," you know. and and she's like, the other one's like, "My name is Squeak. It's Mary Margaret. Who gives a damn, boy? You gonna let this woman talk to you like that, you know?" And then like just the whole dinner scene was so great. And then like I love the scene where Danny is trying to still talk down to her because in reality he's mad that she's leaving. He's
yeah,
mad that she's leaving, and he's like, "Yeah, you'll see." He said, "You ugly, you this, you that, you that," and then like he goes to slap her, and she turns around, and just looks at him, and puts the fingers on him. Uh, I'm gonna try to see if I have that scene. Uh, that she said, anything, anything you've done to me has already been done to you. I was gonna ask you, what what do you feel like that means?
Well, I feel like karma's coming for you. I feel like everything you've done is going to be paid back to you. Which
Hmm.
that's true. When you do people wrong, it comes back
It's
to
that
you.
it's that you reap what you sowed. Then
Yeah. I mean, I've
okay,
done wrong. It came back to me. Other people done me wrong. It's come back to them. I mean, it just is. The universe is fair, and
well, it's
Danny's.
it's,
It's
it's God.
some
Yeah,
points it's fair. I mean, when it comes to karma, it's fair. I would say, but Albert goes through a rough patch. He goes through a really rough patch, and you
yeah,
said you felt sympathy, right?
yeah. At some points, because like when his father said, uh, like what you need to do is get up and get you a woman. And he just got up and got his daddy out the house. Like, no, I ain't listen to you no more. That's not what I need. That's not what I need at all. You know. But he,
He needed to grow as a person,
yeah,
and
and and that same song, and that brings me full circle because the same song, God is trying to tell you something. He's on his porch in the rocking chair, and he's listening to the words too. And his response to what God is trying to tell him is when he checked the mail and saw that immigration is having problems trying to get these people over. He takes what he has, all his money, to help bring Ceely's family back to her. Uh, at the same time, Ceely gets the property that belongs to her, rightfully belongs to her, um,
yeah,
and and opens a business. Um, and then the last scene of the movie, uh, where a car, you see dust coming down the road behind the row of purple or whatever, whatever, the field, and then you look and you see people standing out, and Neil and Ceely sees it as Nettie, and that scene where the sisters meet and finally
yeah,
see each other, and that's all she's ever wanted was her sister back.
yeah,
Now they left as she left as a little girl. Now they're both older women, but but she's now in a better place, and that's why I said it didn't end on a depressing note because Mister finally did right by Ceely.
yeah.
Finally
He,
did right by her.
yeah, I can't disagree. I was, in some ways, I'm surprised he did because just how he treated her for so many years, and but I will say he lost her and he grew as a person, and that's a good thing to know
Hmm.
you not only can do better, but you want to do better, and
Hmm.
you got to put in the work to do that though. And he was putting in the work, but he went through a rough time. He was getting drunk pretty much every night. He fell hard, and
Yeah,
but he did do the right thing in the end. So
yeah.
he
And
got his
so
redemption in a way.
at least on the good note, no, I don't believe Steely's going to end up with Mister again.
No, no,
I think Mister's story arc, Albert, his story arc was that he was a selfish, mean man, and finally did something, not to get something in return, but to do right. Because Celia says, until you do right by me, everything you do is going to fail. And so he finally does right by her. Um, you know, and I think that, and then at the last scene, they're doing me and you will never part. But then you see Mister passing in the silhouette of the sun, going down. It's just, I think, for me, I think Steven Spielberg did an excellent job telling a story that had to be foreign to him as a Jewish man telling a black story, but doing it in such a way that we like. It's for black people. This is one of the Mount Rushmore movies that we have. Like it's very quotable. Uh, it's just like one of those movies, man. And Steven Spielberg did an excellent job with it, in my opinion. And I think you give credit to Whoopi, Danny, the whole cast and crew, man. They did an excellent job.
yeah. I mean, I can't argue, disagree, or anything. I agree with all that. Like they whew, they need credit where it's due, and
Hmm.
it blew me away that Spielberg directed it. It just to me it just didn't feel like a Spielberg production, and
Hmm.
to know that he did this, it just shows his range as a filmmaker, even more so than I already thought. So I mean,
Hmm.
there is no comparison who the best filmmaker of all time is, in my opinion.
I
It's
agree.
it's not even close.
Yeah, I agree.
Spielberg's he's in a land on his own.
Yeah,
He's like Tom Hanks in what was that movie with he was stranded? I can't think
yeah.
of it. I can't.
Castaway.
Castaway. That's Spielberg on his Mount Rushmore. He's stranded. Nobody near him. Like,
Yeah, Spielberg is you know, like, and I was thinking about this last night before we get to our marks. Uh, I was thinking about this. I was like, man, I honestly can say that I haven't seen every Spielberg film, directed film. Like I said, I've never seen Schindler's List. Some other things I've never really seen. But from what I've always seen, from what I've seen of Spielberg, in my opinion, I don't think he can be touched. And I was trying to think, I'm like, because my favorite directors is actually like just not just horror, because like Wes Craven, but it's to me it's a different category. But just like the directors, it would be Spielberg, John Singleton, Spike Lee, and actually Jordan Peele. I absolutely love Jordan. I think that I can't wait to see what all he does going forward, not just in horror, but I hope that he branches into other things. But he's not. But Spielberg, like you said, he is literally where you have Spielberg and like the other people that people put with him, the Scorsese's and stuff. He is above those guys. Like he's literally
yeah.
where we say Tom Hanks and Denzel is in the area above other people.
Mm-hmm.
Spielberg doesn't have a equal in his area. He doesn't. So
No, and I know people would debate Scorsese. I get it, but Scorsese doesn't
Scor-
branch out like Spielberg has.
no, he hasn't. No,
It's
Scorsese
usually,
sticks to what he does.
yeah,
Like
it's
even that Killers of the Flower Moon felt like a mafia type of movie. It felt like
yeah,
a
and he's
Scorsese
the
film.
best at that. I give him all the credit in the world. He is when it comes to mafia style films. No one touches Martin Scorsese. No one. I don't care who you are. And I have seen The Godfather, but I think Martin has succeeded. The Godfather. Overall, I think but um, yeah, I think he's on a level of his own in that area. But as an overall filmmaker, I just think it's Spielberg. He is the
Yeah,
land of giants.
he is a producer on this new Color Purple. By the way, I didn't know that.
Did
PGA. I don't know what that means, but yeah. Um, but nevertheless, I'm gonna go. I'm ready to give my marks.
all right? I'll
Um,
let you go ahead.
this is a 5 mark. It's a 5 mark out of 5 movie for me. As far as like, I don't see anything wrong with it.
Oh,
It's not a, it's not a like technically it's not. It doesn't have any flaws. The movie is executed well. The acting's well, great. It's a horrible type of situation to tell,
mhm.
but nevertheless, I can't see anything technically wrong with it. I think Whoopi Goldberg was a standout as
Yeah.
Celie. It's a crime that she didn't win the Academy Award that year. It went to like Out of Africa or whatever like that. Whatever movie. A movie I've never seen in my life. But but the Academy Award uh just you know what they do. But anyway, five markouts.
5 markouts. I had a horrible time watching this movie in a good way. It just uh, I don't particularly like watching trauma on screen.
Mhm.
Um, but I thought Spielberg did an amazing job. I thought Whoopi was excellent. I thought Danny was excellent. Oprah was really good. I can't, as you said, give me a flaw for this movie. You know, creatively, give me a flaw. I can't. I can't give you a flaw. I could just tell you I didn't enjoy watching the material, but I enjoyed the performances. I enjoyed the cinematography that they had. It's a weird movie to review in that
Mhm.
aspect, but I'm gonna give it 5 stars. Um, I think it deserves it, and I'm surprised that they didn't win an Academy Award for something because It could have been nominated. You said it was nominated 11 times.
11 nominations.
And
And Spielberg didn't win for the best director either. But it was the 80s, and they wasn't ready. They still struggle with showing representation or respect to like black films and things like that. But hey, it concludes Color Purple. Brandon survived Color Purple. Probably never see it ever again in his life.
I will never watch this again. But it's just because of the material it is. It's not because I thought it was a bad movie. It just...
Yeah, I get that.
I stay away. I stay away.
There's movies that is, I think, excellent movies. Like, excellent quality movies, but I never watched them again. Like, I'll never watch Killer of the Flower Moons ever again. It's a great movie, but it was so depressing to watch. And, and Oppenheimer, technically, yes, but I'll never watch it again. It's not for me. But anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I won't watch Oppenheimer again, but I thought it was an excellent movie.
All right. Next week is our list show. Best and worst. 2023. It's gonna be fun.
Always is. It's always a surprise.
Yep. Brandon, what do you want people to do?
Well, if you I hate to even say this, if you enjoyed this episode, click that like button, click that subscribe button, comment and share, and come back next week as we give our opinions of the best and worst films of 2023.
Yeah. Well, Aaron Whitlow. Thank you for marking out with us with the Mark Out Movie Podcast. Let me know on Facebook what you thought about Color Purple, and are you looking forward to the new Color Purple movie? It's coming out on Christmas. Let me know. Thank you. What's your favorite Spielberg film? Thank you. Have a good one.
Jaws, of course.
Merry Christmas. No,
Merry Christmas.
Not for me. Not for me. My favorite Spielberg movie is.
You almost killed me.
I don't know. I can't. Fablemans was excellent, but I don't know.
To Jurassic Park?
Yeah, probably Jurassic Park. That's my favorite Spielberg movie. I forget that's him. Yeah.
How you gonna forget that Spielberg?
Because it's such a good movie, I don't even think about it. It's just so good. Hook is his too.
Yeah, Hook's his.
Minority Report, which I don't recall that. I hadn't seen it in so long. 10-10. Yeah. Ready Player One, which I dug. Saving Private Ryan is his. Like, Catch Me If You Can. Spielberg, what? I'm like, you said 1941 you didn't like, but okay.
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
All right. Well, we thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Have a very good Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. All that stuff. Peace.